My name is Alina. I was born 12 years after my oldest sister, Sarah, and 10 years after my sister, Emma. When I started to remember things clearly, they were already teenagers, more into boys and makeup than playing with their little sister. Our home in suburban Minnesota was always filled with the sounds of my parents being proud of their older daughters. Sarah got all A's again. They would smile at dinner. Emma got on the cheerleading team, and they would tell everyone who would hear. I would sit there, moving peas around on my plate, feeling invisible in my own home. I recall the day Sarah came home with her first boyfriend when she was 16. I was only 4, looking through the banister as this tall boy with spiky hair nervously shook hands with my dad. Emma began dating when she was 15, not too far behind. They were both really pretty, really sure of themselves, and everything I wasn't. "Elena, finish your homework," Mom would say, not really looking at me while she helped Sarah choose prom dresses or talked about college applications with Emma. I learned early to take care of myself, to do my own thing, and not to need the attention that was always on my sister's successes. Did you hear about it? One morning when I was 7, Mom came into the kitchen really fast. Sarah was accepted to Northwestern. I had celebratory pancakes after the news, sitting in my usual spot, feeling invisible as always. Emma went to college 2 years later, and suddenly I was alone in a house that felt both too empty and too full of their memory. Their rooms turned into special places for their old lives, trophies, photos, and memories kept just as they were. At the same time, I made my own space, got used to being alone, and tried not to worry when every talk seemed to go back to my great older sisters. Everything changed for me when I turned 15. Sarah, who is now married and living in another part of town, had her first baby, a boy named Tyler. I remember the day she brought him home from the hospital. Everyone was happy and crying. My parents were so excited to be grandparents. "You're going to be a great aunt," Mom said, giving my shoulder a gentle squeeze. Now that I think about it, I see that was the time when everything began to change, even though I didn't know it back then. At first, I was really happy about becoming an aunt. Tyler was so cute, and I enjoyed making funny faces at him while Sarah and Mom talked over coffee. But that change happened quicker than I thought it would. It began with what looked like a simple request one Saturday morning. "Can you please watch Tyler for a few hours, Elena?" "I really need to go shopping," Sarah said as she put her purse over her shoulder. Before I could say anything, she put Tyler in my arms and went to the door. "Thanks, sister, you are amazing." That became what everyone was used to. Every weekend, Sarah would come to our parents' house, give us Tyler, and then leave for hours. Sometimes it was shopping, other times it was lunch with friends or a spa day. It was always a way to take a break from being a mom. "It's not fair," I told Mom one day after Sarah had been away for 5 hours. I was going to meet Jenny at the mall today. Mom hardly glanced up from her magazine. "Family supports family, Alina. Your sister needs some time alone. You will get it when you become a mom." I was 16 when Emma said she was going to have a baby. "It's a girl," she shouted happily at the family dinner. While everyone was happy, I felt a tight feeling in my stomach. When little Sophie came, things happened just like before, but even more strongly. My weekends were busy with 3-year-old Tyler and baby Sophie. Helping a little kid build block towers while keeping a crying baby calm is not as fun as it seems. What about homework? Just forget about it until they were both sleeping, if they ever slept at the same time. Jason asked me to the movies tonight. I said to Dad one Saturday while holding Sophie on my hip and watching Tyler color on the coffee table instead of his coloring book. "You should have thought about that before you said yes to watching the kids," he said. I didn't agree. "No one ever asks me." Sophie started crying because I sounded frustrated. "Please be quiet. You're making the baby upset," Mom said from the kitchen. "Stop being selfish. Your sisters need this help." I began to use my free time in the school library to look up colleges, not just any colleges, but those that are far from home. I focused on my studies because I knew good grades would help me succeed. Every A on my report card brought me closer to being free. When I got my acceptance letter from Berkeley with a partial scholarship, I felt like I could finally relax. But my family wanted to do something else. The community college here has a good business program, Sarah said during what they called a family council, but I thought it was more like an intervention. You can stay at home, save money, and help with the kids, Emma said cheerfully, as if that was a good reason. I glanced around our living room at their eager faces, Mom, Dad, Sarah, Emma, and Grandma Rose, who had been surprisingly quiet during the talk. Actually, Grandma Rose said, breaking the tension, "I think Berkeley is just right for Elena." Everyone looked at her. That program is just right for her future job, and your grandfather's education fund will help pay for what the scholarship doesn't cover. I really wanted to hug her at that moment. The family meeting finished with my parents and sisters giving me disappointed looks, but I didn't mind. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could see my future clearly, and it didn't include being everyone's free babysitter. College life was amazing. I had a dream about that and more. My dorm room turned into my safe space. My classmates turned into true friends, and for the first time in a long time, my weekends were free for me. No crying babies, no sticky-fingered toddlers, just me and what I decide. But you can't fully avoid family duties, especially during the holidays. I wanted to visit less, but I had to go for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Mom would call a few weeks before, her voice full of hope. "Everyone is asking about you, Elena." The children missed their aunt. The first Christmas break after I began college, I walked into complete chaos. Sarah had 2 boys now, Tyler and his new baby brother, Luke. Emma also had a boy named Max in her family, along with Sophie, but that was just part of it. Elena and Janet shouted as soon as I entered, quickly pointing their twin 5-year-olds at me. "The kids want to know about you," she said. "No, they haven't," I said to myself. "They hardly know me." Before I could say anything, Cousin Rachel's 7-year-old daughter grabbed onto my leg. Right after that, Cousin Mike's 9-year-old son and 6-year-old daughter came up to me too. "Elena, sweetie," Mom called from the kitchen, mostly hidden behind a big pile of dishes. "Why don't you take the kids up to your room? I will bring some snacks later." Suddenly, I was guiding 8 kids up the stairs, feeling more like a sheepdog than a college student. My old bedroom turned into a mess. Toys all over the place, juice stains on my childhood bedspread, and crayon marks showing up on the walls. Time went by. My stomach made noises as tasty smells came up from downstairs, where the grown-ups were having their nice holiday meal. When Mom came in with a plate of snacks for kids, she hardly looked at us. When I finally got downstairs at 8 o'clock after talking to different parents to get their tired kids, the dining room was empty. The only things left were dirty dishes and some leftover food on the serving platters. "Oh, Elena," Emma said, putting on her coat. "Max was really nice to you, wasn't he?" "We need to hurry. It's after his bedtime." Sarah did the same, getting her boys together and talking with Mom about New Year's plans. Janet was putting snow boots on her twins, while cousins Rachel and Mike were taking their sleeping kids to their cars. No one said thank you. No one asked me if I had eaten. They all left without looking back, and I was left standing in the mess of Christmas dinner. "Elena, can you please help me with these dishes?" Mom called from the kitchen, like I hadn't just spent the whole day doing her a big favor. I saw a big pile of dirty plates and serving dishes, proof of a holiday meal I didn't get to enjoy. Mom's message came during finals week, right when I was finishing my last paper for the semester. My phone buzzed with her usual message before the holiday, but this one really scared me. Sarah and Emma are coming with the kids, it said happily. Also, Janet and her twins, Rachel's girls, Mike's kids, and great news. Sarah's sister-in-law Lisa is joining us with her 3. It will be a great Christmas with all the kids. I calculated in my mind 12 kids. 12. I was sitting in the library, looking at my phone until the screen turned off, then turned on again to check if I read it correctly. The message was still the same, but something inside me changed at last. Going to college for 2 years helped me see things differently. I saw my roommate Kate go home for the holidays and come back with stories about real family time, playing board games, watching movies, and having nice Christmas dinners. My friend Jessica often says her biggest problem with going home is sharing the TV remote with her brothers and sisters. During that time, I had spent all my holidays as a free babysitter. I didn't answer Mom's message. I packed my bag for Christmas break, feeling surprisingly calm. This time, I wasn't worried about the holidays because I had a plan for going home. The days before Christmas seemed very normal. I helped Mom in the kitchen, enjoying the familiar smells of her special dishes, pot roast, honey-glazed ham, and her well-known apple pie. I put decorations on the Christmas tree, hanging the ornaments I made in elementary school with the nice glass balls Mom saved for the front of the tree. Christmas Day came with a lot of busy fun. Cars started coming into our driveway one by one, each one adding more noise and confusion than the one before. Sarah got there first with her boys, who are now 5 and 3. Emma came soon after with Sophie and Max. Lisa, who is Sarah's sister-in-law, came over with her 3 kids, and they are all younger than 7. More relatives came in after them, and each family brought more kids to the big group. I looked from the side of the living room as the noise got louder and louder. Sarah walked over to me, holding her youngest on her hip and the older one pulling at her sleeve. "Alana," she called out in that familiar way, the one that meant she was ready to hand over her parenting tasks. "The boys are really happy to see you. They are excited to play with their favorite aunt." She was already pushing them towards me, just like she had done many times before. This time was not the same. This time I stayed firm and looked her right in the eye. "No," I said, my voice calm, even though my heart was beating fast. "I'm not taking care of the kids today. I'm here to have fun during Christmas just like everyone else." The room wasn't completely quiet. There were too many kids for that, but I could sense the surprise spreading among the adults. Sarah was very surprised. Mom stopped in the doorway holding a plate of cookies. Dad glanced up from his newspaper, his eyebrows lifted. "But who will take care of all the kids?" Emma's worried voice echoed in the living room as I looked toward the stairs. I looked back for a moment and saw Mom's confused shrug and the surprised expressions on everyone's faces. I almost laughed at what I saw. They looked like someone had just said Christmas was not happening. I walked up the stairs I knew well, looking at the family photos showing my sister's many successes, and entered my old bedroom. The quiet sound of the door shutting behind me felt like the end of a really long thought. I fell onto my bed, the same twin bed I've had since middle school, and sighed deeply. Downstairs I could hear the quiet noise of chaos, grown-up voices going up and down, kids crying, and sometimes a thump from something being dropped or thrown. "Do you really think she is for real?" That's really selfish. Back in my time, the bits of talk that came up through the floor made me happy. Let them say what they want. Let them see the truth of taking care of their own kids. My phone vibrated with a text from Kate. "Did you complete it? Did you finally confront them?" "Operation Freedom is happening now." I replied, "Right now I'm staying in my room while they try to figure out how to take care of their own kids." A knock on my door stopped me from texting. "Alana." Mom's voice sounded worried, but it also felt a bit annoyed and desperate. "The kids want to see you." I stayed in my cozy spot on the bed. "I'm busy, Mom." She sighed loudly through the door, then her footsteps could be heard walking away down the hallway. I went back to my phone and joined a group chat with my college friends. They were sharing funny stories about their family Christmas dramas. Jessica's uncle was drinking too much again. Mike's grandma was wondering when he would meet a nice girl. Kate's brother came home with a surprise girlfriend. 2 hours went by like this in calm defiance. My phone kept buzzing with messages from friends who knew I had been complaining about babysitting during the holidays for a long time. The noise downstairs finally changed to a new pattern, one that I wasn't part of. When I came down the stairs for dinner, you would have thought I had come back to life, based on how everyone looked. Aunt Janet really dropped her fork. Cousin Rachel's mouth was open while she was talking. I looked around the dining room and saw that Emma was not there. I could see her in the living room trying to set up a game with the kids. Her hair, which is usually neat, was coming out of its fancy style, and there was a stain on her nice sweater. I sat down at the adult table for the first time in a while and looked at the food in front of me. Everything was warm, new, and ready to be enjoyed. No cold leftovers, no leftover scraps, no half-eaten kids' meals. I felt the heavy looks from others as I put Mom's honey-glazed ham, Aunt Janet's sweet potato casserole, and Cousin Rachel's well-known green bean dish on my plate. The sound of forks and knives on plates didn't really hide the tension in the room. I was in the middle of enjoying my first real holiday meal in years when Sarah finally lost it. She was watching me eat like someone watches a nature show about animals hunting each other. "Well," she said to everyone at the table, her voice full of sarcasm, "looks like someone thinks they're really important at college. It looks like they have forgotten about being good sisters." I slowly enjoyed my spoonful of mashed potatoes, carefully licking the spoon before I answered. The food was really good when you ate it fresh. "It's funny how sisterly duties work," I said, keeping my voice steady and calm. "I don't recall seeing free babysitter in any sisterhood guide. Could you show me that chapter right after the part where parents should watch their own kids?" The surprised breaths around the table were funny, but they felt real. Aunt Janet really held onto her pearls tightly. I didn't know people actually did that in real life, not just in movies. Cousin Rachel became very focused on her green beans, while Uncle Mike looked like he wanted to hide in his dinner roll. Mom and Dad shared a glance that showed they were unhappy but didn't want to make a fuss. Dad's fork was stopped in the air, and Mom's smile looked a bit stiff. But instead of the talk I thought I would get, Mom cleared her throat and asked Uncle Mike about his new job. The talk started again, but everyone kept looking at me like they thought I would suddenly grow another head. I just kept eating, enjoying every bite of food that wasn't touched by little hands or gotten cold, while I changed diapers. About 20 minutes into dinner, Emma showed up in the doorway looking like she had just come from a tough fight. Her Christmas sweater now had what seemed like juice stains along with the earlier mystery substance, and her hair had totally come undone from its nice updo. "Sarah," she called, sounding a bit worried, "could you?" Sarah gave me one last angry look before getting up from the table. The sisters switched places, and Emma almost fell into the empty chair. She looked really tired, the kind of deep tiredness I had felt every holiday for years. Emma filled her plate without thinking, but she kept giving me a dirty look between bites. I looked at her and shrugged, then went back to enjoying my food. After I finished my meal, which had 2 pieces of Mom's apple pie, something I had never enjoyed before, I quietly left the table. Everyone accepted it. I wasn't asked to help with the cleaning. No one asked me to take a shift with the kids. The morning light came through the living room windows as I walked downstairs, feeling happy for my calm Christmas evening. That feeling went away as soon as I saw them. Mom, Dad, Sarah, and Emma all sitting together in a clear ambush setup. Sarah was quick to act. "What kind of performance was that yesterday?" she said, her voice very harsh, making us seem like bad parents in front of everyone. I sat down in a comfy chair, feeling surprisingly relaxed. How did it go? Are you saying I just want to enjoy Christmas like everyone else? I'm really tired of being the babysitter who doesn't get paid or appreciated, while everyone else enjoys a real holiday. But you didn't say anything before, Mom said, looking confused. I just had to laugh. Did you never complain? I've been saying things for a long time, Mom, but it was just too easy to not listen to me, right? It's really simple to keep taking advantage of the nice little sister who never causes trouble. They all began to talk at the same time, their voices mixing together with accusations and reminders about being sisters and family responsibilities. Dad kept saying how much they had helped me over the years. Mom talked about how well they raised me, and my sisters switched between making me feel guilty and being really mean. I waited for them to calm down before talking again. They aren't my kids, I said softly, but with certainty. I didn't have them myself. I didn't choose to have them. It's your job to take care of them, not mine, especially during the holidays when I also want to relax. That's when Sarah used what she believed was her best move. She got up, her face red with anger. Maybe it's time for someone to show you what gratitude means. Let's see how you do without Mom and Dad helping with your college fees. The room became quiet. I saw Mom and Dad look at each other with surprise, clearly not expecting this idea. But instead of the panic Sarah thought I would show, I felt a weird sense of relief. At last, everything was clear. I got up slowly. Actually, Sarah, Grandma has been paying my school fees from Grandpa's education fund. It's the fund he created for all his granddaughters, the same one that helped you with nursing school and Emma with business school. And even if that wasn't true, I have a partial scholarship. Also, I'm not scared to work to take care of myself, like some people are. I didn't wait for them to reply. I just turned and went upstairs. I packed my bags in under 10 minutes. I have learned to pack light when I travel. When I came back down, Mom and Dad began calling for me. Their voices sounded both angry and worried, but I didn't want to talk anymore. I stepped out the front door, letting it shut behind me while they complained and argued. The cold winter air nipped at my cheeks as I walked to my car, but I hardly noticed it. The ride back to campus was surprisingly calm. As I drove further from home, I started to block their numbers: Mom, Dad, Sarah, Emma. Every time I tapped my phone screen, it felt like I was breaking another link in a chain I didn't know was holding me back. My dorm room greeted me back with its nice simplicity. No toys on the floor, no sticky marks on the windows, and no loud kids asking for attention. Only my books, my laptop, and my own ideas. January went by quickly with new classes and calm weekends. February had snow and no family drama, which was nice. I focused on my studies, made plans with friends, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was really living my own life instead of just being in the background of others. One cold Saturday morning in late February, I looked out my dorm window and saw my family, Mom, Dad, and Emma, standing in the parking lot. They looked unsure and a bit lost among the students hurrying to and from classes. I thought about acting like I wasn't home, but the way they were moving made me stop and think. They seemed different, smaller in a way, less like people in charge and more like folks who had traveled 4 hours to fix a mistake. I saw them in the lobby. Emma was the first to speak. "Would you like us to buy you a coffee? We want to chat." The cafe on campus was calm that morning. We sat at a table in the corner, steam coming up from our cups. The quiet was full of things that were not said. Mom was the first to say it. "We've thought a lot," she started, her fingers nervously running along the edge of her cup. "After you went, we had some really long talks as a family, very long talks." Emma looked at me and said, "Alina, we made a mistake. Everyone. We used you for years and told ourselves it was family duty to feel better about it. Dad made a noise in his throat. We didn't see, or maybe we didn't want to see, how unfair it was. You should have your own holidays and your own time. You should be treated like an adult, not just the family babysitter. I took a big drink of my coffee and thought about what they said. How is Sarah? Emma let out a sigh. Sarah. She is still thinking about it. She is just like that. She finds it hard to say when she's wrong. But the other people we want to improve. Things are going to change now. Mom said, I won't push the kids on you anymore. Don't worry about giving up your holidays anymore. We want you to come home because you want to, not because you have to take care of the kids. I looked at their faces. Mom's eyes showed sincerity, Dad's expression showed regret, and Emma's posture was open. All right, I said at last. I trust you. That night, after they were gone, I unblocked their numbers. In just a few minutes, I got a text from Emma. I really miss you, little sis, this time for sure. The next months brought a different routine. I went home a few weekends, and it was nice. When Emma had her kids with her, she either looked after them herself or got a babysitter. Mom gave up on planning family time because it always ended with me taking care of a bunch of kids. Sarah and I have not talked yet. Sometimes I see her posts on social media, photos of her boys getting bigger so quickly. I hope that someday she sees her mistake and contacts me first. For now, I'm okay with the space between us.